The river groaned, not with water, but with silence. The Euphrates, once the lifeblood of empires, is now cracking, drying, vanishing. And beneath its ancient bed, something begins to shift. This is not climate change. Not a coincidence. This was foretold. An ancient scroll, inked in exile, warned of 4 beings, chained beneath the great river, waiting for an appointed hour. Not just a year. Not just a day. But a moment in time, locked into prophecy. And that moment may already be upon us. Revelation 9 speaks of angels bound at the Euphrates, not stationed, not sent, but imprisoned. It is the only time in all of Scripture where angels are chained at a geographical location. They are not here to bless. They are not here to warn. They are here to destroy. But who are they? Why are they bound beneath a river once worshipped by Babylon? And why does the forbidden Book of Enoch describe their kind as so corrupt, that even the underworld trembled when they fell? For centuries, these beings remained silent, sealed in darkness, buried under the blood and dust of fallen cities. But now, the river is drying. And with it, the gates are weakening. Some believe the locks have already cracked. This is not mythology. This is not a metaphor. This is the most terrifying prophecy in Revelation. It began with the river, always the river. The Euphrates has flowed through history like a living artery. Mesopotamia was born on its banks. Babylon rose and fell beside it. Prophets wept near its waters. But hidden beneath its sacred current lies a prison older than any empire. 2,000 years ago, a man exiled to the island of Patmos saw a vision, shattering, vivid, divine. His name was John. The scroll he wrote would become the Book of Revelation. In chapter 9, his hand trembled as he recorded a warning: release the 4 angels bound at the great river Euphrates. Bound, not fallen from heaven. Not roaming the earth. Bound. Chained. Restrained. But restrained from what? In the ancient Hebrew worldview, rivers were more than just water. They were dividing lines between realms. Between order and chaos. Between heaven and something else. And the Euphrates? It was the edge of Eden. The border of Babel. The staging ground of wars not just between nations, but between kingdoms seen and unseen. Now, in our time, something strange is happening. The river is drying, not gradually, but catastrophically. Entire sections have turned to cracked clay. Satellite images reveal scars across the land like veins drained of life. And in the shadow of that drought, rumors spread. In 2022, footage emerged from Iraq, tunnels once flooded now exposed. Groans beneath the earth. Sounds that couldn't be explained. Some dismissed them as echoes. Others, I didn't sleep for days. They remembered the prophecy. Because the angels are not released by men. Not by soldiers. Not by scientists. They are released when God's appointed time has come. An hour. A day. A month. A year. And that year may no longer be far off. But who are these 4 angels? And why did the ancients believe they committed crimes so dark, so unnatural, that even the flood wasn't enough to wipe away their legacy? To find them, we must go deeper, into the oldest banned texts in biblical history. The ones that the early church read, and then buried. In the days before the flood, the sky opened, but it was not rain that fell first. It was them. The Book of Enoch tells us of 200 angels who descended to the earth at Mount Hermon. They were not messengers. They were not guardians. They were rebels, watchers, sent to observe, but who chose to intervene. They took human wives. They bore monstrous offspring, giants, hybrids, devourers of mankind. They taught forbidden knowledge, weapons, enchantments, root-cutting, sorcery. Civilization advanced, but at a terrible cost. And heaven saw what they had done. Enoch, the man who walked with God and was taken, recorded a judgment spoken by the Most High himself. Bind them in the valleys of the earth. Cast them into the abyss. Do not let them see the light until the day of their sentence. Azazel, Shemaiah, names now buried beneath centuries of silence. But what does this have to do with the Euphrates? Some scholars, silenced, dismissed, or ridiculed, believe that the worst of the watchers were not just imprisoned, they were quarantined beneath the one place where divine boundaries were strongest, the river that marked Eden's edge. And Revelation? It confirms the pattern. Release the 4 angels bound at the Euphrates. Bound by who? Bound for what? The next line shatters the illusion of safety. to kill a third of mankind. These are not warnings. These are weapons. Judgment in celestial form. And yet, the Book of Enoch offers a chilling detail left out of Revelation. Their punishment was so severe that even the stars mourned. This isn't mythology. The earliest followers of Jesus read Enoch, quoted it. Jude, the brother of Christ, referenced it directly. The Lord comes with 10,000s of his holy ones, to execute judgment upon all. But Enoch was later removed, declared apocryphal, forgotten, hidden. Still, it remained, preserved in Ethiopia for over 1,000 years. And when it was rediscovered in 1773, the scholars who read it wept. Because it didn't just confirm the Bible. It filled in the gaps, and pointed to a terror still waiting to be unleashed. For angels. For judgments. For seals, ready to be broken. The Book of Enoch was once sacred. Its words echoed in the hearts of early believers. Its prophecies aligned with the Torah, the prophets, even the teachings of Jesus. But then, it vanished. Not by accident. By decision. Church councils met. Debates raged. And somewhere between Alexandria and Rome, a scroll was sealed, a mystery erased. Too strange, they said. Too dangerous. It told of angels who lusted. Of giants who devoured. Of divine wrath unleashed not just on humans, but on heaven's own rebels. And worst of all, it told of the judgment to come. They will be bound for 70 generations in the valleys of the earth, until the day of great tribulation. A precise countdown. A divine prison sentence. And if the generations are counted literally, the timing points toward our century. Still, the warnings were buried. The watchers became legends. Their crimes, forgotten. Until the 18th century, when a Scottish explorer entered the highlands of Ethiopia. There, in an ancient Orthodox monastery, he was handed a leather-bound manuscript, written in Guizi, guarded for over 1,000 years. He opened it. He read the name Enoch. And the floodgates opened. By 1821, the first English translation of the Book of Enoch shook the theological world. But instead of celebration, there was silence. Publishers hesitated. Pastors denounced it. Institutions ignored it. Because the book didn't just support Scripture, it exposed a forgotten war in heaven, and a still active prison beneath the earth. One line in particular stood out. The place where the stars are bound, is a burning, desolate valley. A valley. A binding. A prison. The same language used in Revelation. The same tone of divine restraint. The same thread that stretches all the way to the Euphrates. So why the cover-up? Why was Enoch removed, hidden, and silenced, while other apocryphal texts survived? Maybe it's because Enoch didn't just talk about the past. It talked about what's coming next. The return of the imprisoned. The rise of the ancient offenders. The breaking of seals, each one closer to the final release. And when that time comes, it won't be subtle. It won't be quiet. The chains will break. The 4 angels will rise. And 1/3 of mankind will fall. They said the stories were symbolic. That the angels were metaphors. That Revelation was just poetry wrapped in fear. But what happens when symbols start to manifest? When the Euphrates River, the exact one John wrote about, begins to dry, not over centuries, but in real time. In 2021, images began surfacing from Iraq and Syria. Wide sections of the Euphrates turned to cracked earth, boats marooned on dust, ancient stone exposed where water once flowed. But under the silence of drought, something darker was revealed. Tunnels, unmarked. Chambers, carved by no modern hand. Echoes, metallic, pulsing, wrong. Local legends speak of gates buried beneath the Euphrates. Not metaphorical gates. Physical ones. A few villagers claim to have seen figures, not men, moving beneath the surface before the ground caved in. Most were dismissed. A few went missing. Then, a clip emerged online, grainy, shaking, low light. It showed soldiers entering a stone chamber near the river's edge. The timestamp was from 2003. That clip was gone within hours. But not before someone saved a still frame, a wall of carvings showing 4 winged beings, bound in chains, surrounded by flame. The location? Near an ancient Babylonian ruin. Right along the Euphrates. Coincidence? Some believe this was the true reason foreign militaries moved into the region. Not oil. Not politics. Control of something beneath the sands. But then, the documents vanished. Access denied. Entire excavation records scrubbed. A modern archaeologist who attempted to investigate wrote a single sentence in her final published journal before resigning. The site was sealed. And whatever's inside, it's not human. She hasn't spoken publicly since. Meanwhile, digital archives show signs of tampering. Satellite footage removed. Place names redacted. But local oral traditions remember. A Sumerian myth tells of 4 divine beings punished by the sky god Enlil, locked beneath the river to keep the underworld from rising. That myth predates revelation by over 1,000 years. Why would cultures, separated by time and religion, share the same vision? For celestial offenders. A sacred river. A prison beneath the soil. And a final release. Whether you believe the watchers are real, the ground beneath the Euphrates is shifting. And the silence is cracking. Because ancient lies don't stay buried forever. At the heart of Revelation 9 lies a line so precise, it chills the soul. The 4 angels, who had been prepared for the hour, the day, the month, and the year, were released to kill 1/3 of mankind. Not vague. Not poetic. Prepared. A countdown locked into creation itself. An appointed moment when divine restraint would snap, and what lies beneath the Euphrates would rise, no longer chained. But what exactly are these beings? Why not demons? Why not Satan? Because these are not wild, roaming spirits. These are designated entities, assigned to a time, a place, a purpose. Imprisoned for an act so severe, their release signals a global catastrophe. And yet, they were once angels. Not beasts. Not monsters. Celestial powers. The Book of Enoch and the writings of Peter and Jude all agree, certain angels crossed a line so severe, they were bound until the day of judgment. God spared not the angels that sinned, but cast them into chains of darkness. 2 Peter 2 verse 4. Kept in everlasting chains under darkness for the great day. Jude 1 verse 6. It's the same pattern. The same prophecy. The same prison. And now, something terrifying. According to John's vision, the release of these angels isn't a warning. It's an act of judgment. Their arrival marks the death of 1/3 of humanity. They do not preach. They do not speak. They do not negotiate. They execute. And what's more disturbing, is the weapon they bring. John describes an army, 200 million strong, rising in conjunction with these beings. Mounted soldiers, fire and smoke pouring from their mouths. Whether symbolic or literal, the devastation is total. By these 3 plagues, 1/3 of mankind was killed. It echoes Enoch's ancient curse, and it screams of something far beyond political conflict or natural disaster. This is an apocalypse triggered not by men, but by the unsealing of divine wrath. The drying of the Euphrates is not just environmental. It is prophetic erosion, the breaking of a supernatural dam. And once it's breached, what's beneath won't stay buried. The secret is no longer sealed. The prison door is beginning to open. Somewhere beneath the Euphrates, for beings still wait. They do not sleep. They do not forget. And their chains, once sealed by divine command, are weakening with every dry season. The world watches the river vanish, calls it climate collapse, shrugs it off as coincidence. But the ancients knew better. The Euphrates was never just water, it was a seal. A boundary. A warning. Now, that warning is fading. Ask yourself, why have so few churches spoken of these angels? Why do modern theologians dismiss Enoch, when the apostles once quoted it with reverence? Why are the most direct end-time warnings the most ignored? Maybe because the truth isn't comforting. It confronts. That even angels can fall. That even angels can be bound. That heaven, in its justice, prepared a judgment so severe, it had to be buried beneath a river. The story isn't over. In fact, it may have just begun. When the Euphrates runs dry completely, when the appointed hour arrives, when the final chain breaks, they will rise. Not to speak, not to warn, but to fulfill. And 1/3 of the world will learn what Sunday school never taught. But there is one more mystery. One final, silent question written between the lines of Revelation. Why are there 4 angels? Why not 5? Why not 7? Is it because they reflect the 4 horsemen? The 4 winds? The 4 corners of the earth? Or is it something older? Something hidden in Genesis, in Enoch, in Eden itself? Perhaps that question was meant for us to ask. Perhaps some answers are not to be spoken, but discovered. One scroll at a time. Somewhere, another gate waits. Another seal. Another name lost to history. And beneath the surface, beneath the earth, beneath the silence, prophecy breathes. If you want to explore what else the Book of Enoch reveals, about the Watchers, the Nephilim, and the final days, leave a comment. Because the deeper we go, the stranger it gets.